Welcome to Dodgers Dogs. As part of the Dodgers Daily Network, Casey Porter here, joined by Mark Watkins. As we sit here on a Thursday, an off day for the Dodgers on All-Star Week, Mark, right in front of a big series of the Brewers coming out of the break. So just kind of your overall thoughts where the Dodgers are at and how your All-Star break week has gone.
All right. Great to join you as always, Casey. And the slowest sports week of the year. So not all that much going on, but the All-Star game, I think, was pretty fun. So and the Dodgers got a much needed series win over the Giants going into the All-Star break, which I think was very big, obviously, especially based on how they've been playing prior to that. So, that was a huge series for them.
What was your thoughts of the All-Star game, man? Did you like this the challenge system? Did you like the way it ended? Did you like the way Dave managed? What your overall thoughts on the All-Star game?
Well, I'll tell you, because the Dodgers are in the National League, I always root for the Dodgers, of course.
Yeah.
And but the National League just never. They have a really bad record, obviously, in the last 20 years or so. And I thought they were going to let that one slip away again after they went up 6-0 and then let the American League come back. But they were able to pull it out at the end, and I actually do like the format, the swing off, I think they call it, at the end for the All-Star game. I think it's kind of a fun thing. I definitely would not want to see that in regular season games. I think some people have advocated for that, but it's not something I would want to see at all.
Don't they have that in soccer now, where you have a shootout at the end of it?
Yeah.
So it's not unprecedented that you could have a shootout, in this case, a home run contest to end the game instead of extra innings.
Right. I don't even know how they do that statistically. How they would record that. Baseball has such a tradition of keeping statistics well. It would be kind of strange.
Do you like the placed runner in extra innings? That kind of brings me to that.
No, I don't like it at all. I've never liked that. Yeah, I feel like it's not. I don't know. Not real baseball to me, so to speak.
Yeah. Do you like 18-inning games though?
18-inning games.
Let me push back on this, and let's go back and forth on this, because I like it. So I would be curious to have a good conversation here.
Yeah. I'm not a big fan of 18-inning games. I remember years ago the Dodgers had this really long game. I think it's 20-plus innings, 21 innings against the Astros or something. And I remember I fell asleep and I woke up and it was still going on. Yeah. And then Fernando was playing first base or right field or something, and it was a crazy game. But I'm not such a fan of that, but I really don't like the runner at second base runner.
Yeah. I'm all for speeding the games up. If you watch minor league baseball at all, which you're starting to watch more and more,
right,
they've put all these rules already into place, and they've sped the game up. And I'll be honest with you, Mark, once you start watching minor league baseball, back a couple years ago with the pitch clock and the placed runner and then the challenge system, especially at Oklahoma City, and you see all these great new rules, and then you're out of there in like 2 hours and 40 minutes, and it just seems like the ball was always moving and everything was always just kind of there wasn't any just wasted time. Hey, I'm not necessarily for just making it where it has to be constant action. I still think you need to stop and think and have strategy and all that kind of thing. But there doesn't need to be the dead time, the step off, the 19 different pitching changes in between innings. Those kind of situations aren't entertaining. So to be honest with you, once you start watching the pace of minor league baseball, it's very hard to watch Major League Baseball. A lot easier now that they've implemented the pitch rule and also the placed runner. But I love the new rules of speeding the game up.
Okay. Yeah. I do like the pitch clock. I will say that I think that's been a good change. Some people have theorized that the arm injuries went up since then because pitchers weren't able to, I don't know.
How about the minor leagues?
Yeah, so I don't necessarily believe that, that it's had anything to do with more arm injuries, but I do like the increased speed of the game, and the batter would be stepping out and playing with their batting gloves forever, and that was that was annoying.
Alex Vesia would take 30 minutes in between pitches because he could, that kind of thing, right?
Yeah, right. So I definitely like the pitch clock, how it sped up the pace of the game.
I think the pitch comm's been a good thing, too, where I think that sped it up.
Sorry, what was that?
The pitch comm?
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they've made some good changes. I don't know if I'll ever get used to the runner on second base, but yeah, it's probably here to stay, I guess.
Yeah, so I know he's very vilified. I personally think Rob Manfred, he's made some really stupid decisions in his day. Don't get me wrong, but the last 5 years or so, I think he's been fantastic. I think if you can just get past maybe the history and some of the dumb things that he's done that you just kind of gone, what in the hell's going on here? I think you have to give him credit for some of the like the pitch clock and some of the things that he's actually implemented in the last 4 or 5 games that have made baseball more attractive to a wider audience of people.
I agree. I wasn't big on the DH rule in the National League either.
Yeah, I hate that, but
I kind of came around on it, I guess. Because you do get tired of seeing the pitchers bat all look feeble up there at the plate, I guess, but I've kind of came around on that more. But yeah, he's made some positive changes, I think, that have helped the game.
I love the double sub. You made the double move whenever you would come in to replace a pitcher. There was some strategy you lose by pitchers hitting,
right?
But I don't miss watching pitchers hit. I don't like watching position players pitch, and I don't like watching pitchers hit. It's just not in the spirit of professional baseball. I'll say that. They don't hit in college baseball. I mean, it's a better game. Plus, it gives you more roster spots to add people to.
I mean, exciting sometimes to see guys like Fernando is a really good hitter, and Oral Hershiser, contribute to wins, and Clayton Kershaw. I think he won one game 1-0 and hit a home run, didn't he? So that was kind of cool to see. But I mean, overall, most of the pitchers just they're not very good up there at all. So it was painful.
I'd rather
to watch
see Shohei Ohtani pitch or hit at a DH spot than any pitcher ever that's ever existed, or any DH for that matter. Hey, we have a great crowd on the TikTok side. Drew Nate already has a question. Will the Dodgers add a high-leverage reliever or a starter soon? I don't think so. I don't think they need to. I think they're getting pitching back, and I think they're going to get Blake Trinan back. I think that's your high-leverage reliever. So if you get Blake Trinan back, which I've seen with my own eyes, I just released our interview on our YouTube side. Drew, if you want to go check out that interview with Blake Trinan, if I have a chance, I'll actually link that in the chat here. So they're going to add Blake Trinan. There's your high-leverage reliever. Then you're getting Blake Snell back. Tyler Glasnow and Shohei Ohtani are ramping up. I don't think you're going to have Roki Sasaki for anything substantial. I don't have any inside information on that, but that's just kind of my gut feeling on that. So as you add Blake Snell, as Tyler Glasnow ramps up more, as Shohei Ohtani ramps up more, that sends a guy like Justin Robleski, if you need to bring him up, but Dustin May, guys like that, to the pen. So I personally think the Dodgers need to stay steadfast. I think they need to throw all their chips in on whether it be a left fielder or a third baseman. What say you, Mark?
I agree. The question I think you have to ask is who are they going to cut? They have if they acquire somebody, they'll have to cut a proven major league pitcher at some point, and I think Dustin may end up going to the bullpen also.
Correct.
When all the starters are back, because
I think it would be Bonda probably would be the first guy cut.
I think so too, but even without Bonda, I mean, how many guys, with all the guys coming back, I haven't really looked at the numbers, but Bonda would probably be the first guy to go, I would imagine. But it's you have to wonder about roster spots. I wouldn't put it past the Dodgers to maybe acquire another reliever. But it could be challenging as far as the roster spots go.
What are your thoughts on what the Dodgers need to do at the trade deadline?
If
put your fan hat on, don't put the GM hat on. Let's not be irrational here. The diehard, I grew up in California, Mark Watkins fan side of you.
Right.
What do you want the Dodgers? Let me put it this way. What do you want the Dodgers to do at the trade deadline?
If they could acquire a guy like a good right-handed bat, I think probably an outfielder. I think, especially with the way their offense has struggled, I think that would help. Once again, another thing it comes down to is roster spots. Like who do you do you cut loose? You know, I mean, right now they have Estuary Rees, who they would send down, of course. But when Muncie comes back, I guess you could say
Altman's on the 26 right now.
Right, Altman's another one too. So, but when the guys come back healthy, like Kike Hernandez, for instance, what do you do? Do you get rid of Kike Hernandez for whoever you acquire? Yeah. I mean, the way he's performed in the playoffs, and he's a huge fan favorite. So that makes it a difficult decision too.
Are you at all in favor of trying to solve these problems by pulling up from AAA Oklahoma City?
Well, I think there are a couple of relievers who are in the minor leagues who are interesting. Like Carson Hobbs is one that comes to mind. But I don't know how many guys, like on the offensive side, I don't know who down there could really come up and help necessarily.
It'd be Freeland or Ward.
Yeah.
Freeland would be third base, Ward would be outfield.
Yeah, Freeland or Ward. I could see Freeland coming up, I think, to play third base if he's capable of doing that. I don't know do you know how good he is defensively?
Yeah, he's made he made an error the other night, but it's kind of on a do or die play. Okay. But he's made some really nice plays at third base, and ever since the Max Muncy injury, he's played all but like one game at third base. So they've definitely ramped him up over there.
Yeah, I could definitely see him coming up and, maybe send Outman or Ruiz down once I think he hadn't been playing third recently, right, until the Muncy injury.
Correct. So he played a lot of third base early in the year. Basically, at the beginning of June, the Oklahoma City Comets had a doubleheader. He played one of those games in the doubleheader, did not play third base again until the Max Muncy injury. Okay. And so I don't think that's a coincidence that he started playing third base again when Muncy went down. That's another. Right. The Dodgers aren't going to give you. They're going to give you cryptic ways of finding out what's going on with injuries. They're not going to come out and straight up tell you. So you kind of got to watch their actions to know how things are going.
Exactly. Yeah. So I could definitely see Freeland coming up. I think they're ramping him up for that, getting him acclimated to playing third base again. And because Muncy, another thing too, like you're talking about the Dodgers being cryptic, is with injuries, a lot of times they're not real forthcoming about what's really going on and the extent of it and how long it could be. You know, I sprained my knee a year ago, and it took me months to get back from it. Obviously, I'm a lot older than Muncy is, but when that injury occurred, it looked pretty bad. So hopefully it'll only be 6 weeks like they're talking about, but I kind of have my doubts, unfortunately.
But that's 6 weeks just to get back. Then you got to have like minor league rehab at bats. Right. You got to have.
Yeah.
So I mean that's not 6 weeks, and all of a sudden, hey, we got Max Muncy back playing third, the same Max Muncy that we left. That's 6 weeks, and that's when the process of getting back starts.
Right. Yeah. And Muncy has typically been a slow starter too. As we saw that again this year, the first couple months, he really didn't hit very well at all. So that concerns me that he might come back and just not be himself once he does even get back in the lineup.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. So, okay, let's get back into it. Your thoughts on the All-Star game, your thoughts on Dave managing it, Clayton Kershaw, the hit off at the end of the game. I'm going to be very transparent. I did not watch the game. I watched so much baseball that an exhibition in the middle of the season where guys are voted in that have played all of about 4 months of Major League Baseball, that part of it does not interest me. If they want to move it to the end of the season, or even not even have a game and just make a list like, some other lower level type situation like the college level does, that's fine with me. But a midsummer game where guys are voted in halfway through a season, that's completely an exhibition that has nothing to do with winning or losing. I don't have the velo bandwidth in my brain to absorb that type of baseball game. So I didn't watch it. I usually don't. I mean, I try to watch it sometimes and it's like one inning. And I end up at Netflix. But so I'm going to lean on you for this. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of enjoy it. It's fun. I did not agree with them making it meaningful. Like everybody was all upset when they had that tie game. I'm like, who cares?
Yeah. Like it's an exhibition.
It's an exhibition. That's the way I felt about it.
It's a spring training game.
Yeah, I don't know why people got so upset about that. Like, who really cares if it's a tie? And now it's meaningful, which, the team that wins gets home field advantage. So, which I really don't agree with that because it is an exhibition, and you could tell the guys are kind of having fun out there. And I mean, they're trying, but it's they're not going 100% out there sometimes. So it was interesting. It was fun to see. Kyle Schwarber, he impressed me in the swing off, because he hit 3 pitches out of 3 for home runs in a kind of a clutch situation. So that was pretty impressive to me.
What did you like and what did you not like about the challenge system?
I don't know if there's anything that I could say that I don't like about it. I like it. I think it went really well. I think they were, unless there were some late calls that weren't overturned, I think all the calls were overturned. There weren't a lot of them. I think there's maybe like 4 or something like that. Somebody can correct me in the comments if you know, but it's.
Here's one live, by the way, on Noah Miller.
Oh,
so
okay.
You're not seeing this. Let me actually get to
no.
the virtual camera here. Mark, let me back this up so you can go ahead and see this. There's the pitch right here. So there you see that the pitch is being challenged. It goes up on the board, and then on the board, exciting, boom, you see the ball, and then the umpire makes the announcement. So continue with what you're saying, Mark.
That pitch was way off the plate.
Right. Yeah.
But I think all of the calls that were overturned. So these catchers and pitchers and hitters, they do have a pretty good feel for it. They can tell pretty well when it's off. And I think I know they said that Aaron Boone just gave his players free rein on calling him. He said, just be careful about it. I don't know if Roberts was the same, but I like the system a lot. I think you might as well, when you have the technology to get it right, I think they should.
Yeah. So here's the big deal. You're not going to get an unlimited amount. I mean, if you're wrong, you're only going to get 2. I think when they implement it, you're going to get 2 challenges. Now, you can have as many challenges as you want as long as you're right. So that 2 challenges doesn't mean 2 and then you're done. So if you challenge a pitch like this right here and you're correct, then you get that challenge back. So theoretically, you could challenge 500 pitches if you wanted to, if you're right every time. But you can only be wrong twice. See, and those are the types of pitches there that got to get cleaned up. And that you mentioned it before. That the thing about it is that's too far out of the zone. The ones that are close, okay, whatever. Which most of them are. But what happens with the challenge system, what people will realize, and they'll go, well, why don't we go fully automated? Well, first of all, it sucks. I've seen it. The players hated it. I can just tell you it sucked. The fully automated system sucked, okay?
Right.
Point blank. The challenge system is awesome, and here's a big reason why. If you're an umpire and you know that the players can challenge you, what are you going to do with your performance? You're going to clean that crap up, aren't you? I mean, you don't want to get embarrassed however many different times, 10 times throughout. I've seen an umpire, like in the first 2 innings, be wrong 5 out of 6 times. That umpire either isn't going to be around anymore or they're going to clean their crap up real fast. So the challenge system is going to make calling balls and strikes much, much better.
I agree. Yeah, I was having this conversation with some buddies of mine, the other night, and some of them are against it. One of them is a umpire himself. He's umpired for many years, but
of course they want to be able to say they're right all the time. Yeah,
right. But it's. I think it's good. I think it's increasingly difficult for umpires to call them correctly with the velocity and movement that have gone on in recent years. We were talking about, I mentioned going back to Eric Gregg, and his strike zone was incredibly wide with,
Greg Maddux is on the mound. You're giving him 9 feet outside. I mean, nobody can hit that.
Maddux and Tom Glavine, and oh my gosh, it was bad. And then, you get guys like Angel Hernandez, of course, but I think I like it. I think it's good. A lot of people were against the instant replay on the bases and such, and I think it turned out to be a really, when, like I said,
just
when
because you say you're a baseball purist, why would you not want, I'm not saying we replay every single play, but I mean, why would you not want the Don Dinkinger thing where was it the Royals or Cardinals that got screwed there in the 80s? Why would you not want that to get fixed? Why would you
Right.
not want the perfect game to get fixed 10 years ago or so? I
The
mean,
guy
why
who had
would
the
you not
perfect
want
game.
that?
Right. Yeah. The guy had the perfect game for the Tigers. Yeah. That was sad for him. I mean, there have only been 24 perfect games in history, which I happen to go to one. I feel pretty good about that. That I got to see one of the 24 in history, because that's
very nice.
Extremely rare. But I felt bad for that guy, because he definitely should have had one there. And yeah, when you have the technology, why not use it?
I 1,000% agree, and I consider myself. Here's what I would consider myself: an open-minded baseball purist. So I want the game of baseball to be the best version. It's like any prospect, Mark. It's like any person on earth. If you're not continuing to find the best version of yourself, my dad and grandpa used to always tell me, hey, you're never standing still. You're either getting better or worse. Even if you're staying the same, the people around you are either getting better or worse. So
exactly.
In perception or in reality, you're never staying the same. So I've been trained my whole life, never stay the same. Always work to get better. So if there's something that can make you better, do it. So as a baseball purist, my opinion on that is, if this is something like a pitch clock that's going to make more people like it, and it's going to make the game, or the challenge system that's actually fun to watch, if it's going to make it a better game, then that's the way my brain has been trained my whole life.
Absolutely. I totally agree. And my father used to say the same thing. Yeah, you're either getting better or you're getting worse. You're not staying the same. So you might as well, as you mentioned, some of the changes that Manfred has implemented. I don't want him to get too radical on anything.
Sure.
But yeah, when we can do things like this to make the game better, I'm all for it. And I think about, if we go to Game 7 of the World Series and they have a terrible call that can't be overturned, I think that would be a real shame. So I'm all for it.
100%.
Yeah.
So what did you think about the overall draft? I know what I think. I'm glad the coverage is done, because that was a lot of work.
Yeah, honestly, I loved all the content you posted, because obviously I don't know much about any of these guys, but it's not like the NFL where, have all these analysts saying, oh, they're grading all the drafts and everything. But the Dodgers had some interesting picks. That guy from MIT, which I think is a really interesting story. I honestly didn't even know they had a baseball team, but
yeah.
But I think intelligence is a really big part of pitching, and actually being, I think, in general, a lot of guys who make it to the major leagues are smart guys. So, more intelligent of the bunch who are drafted. So I think that'll help him, in his journey trying to be a major leaguer. And then, some of the other guys they picked, their second pick, he was an outfielder. It looks like he can really hit. So, there's you did some good write-ups on all of them, but
that would be Charles Davalon, and I can't really show the video because I'll get tagged on it. But Davalon's second pick, 5'9", 190 pound. Ryan reminds me of Ryan Ward, definitely. And the guy that you were referencing that went to MIT is Mason Estrada, a guy who is likely going to throw 100 miles an hour. So.
Yeah, right. That's pretty amazing. I think I mentioned to you on the comment on there that I'm sure he has the physics of pitching down.
Yeah.
I think was it Mike Marshall, I think he had a PhD, didn't he? Who was like really into pitch physics and that kind of thing.
Yeah. So I thought it was kind of cool. I thought it was interesting that the Dodgers took pitchers that were big, long, like we'll go through. Let me go through this. Let me flip this back over. So guys like the Cam Leiter, 6'5", right-handed pitcher, and then you have Aiden West. I like Aiden West, shortstop, but you have Cam Leiter. You have Mason Lagenza, 6'6", outfielder. Okay, you have Jack O'Connor. You have Jacob Frost. Isn't as much as a. Let me get back to this, but just kind of to get to my point, I wanted to prove. Kind of what I'm talking about here is that the Dodgers went after long guys. Dylan Tate's not quite as long, but he's a guy that's a lightning bolt for an arm. Robbie Porco. So here's another one, 6'8". Okay, Matt Lansendorfer. They took guys that were. Sam Horn's an interesting one. Finn Edwards. They took guys that were very long, guys that like Cam Leiter and Dylan Tate, and then they're coming off of injury, and then a guy like that we just mentioned. The Robbie Porco out of West Virginia didn't even pitch a lot last year because he couldn't throw enough strikes. And in the college season, it's so short. And West Virginia was in first place of the Big 12 almost all year. So they couldn't afford to put a guy in that couldn't throw strikes, even though he could throw 100 miles an hour. So the Dodgers went heavy project, in my opinion. You look at Legenza, the big long outfielder that the Dodgers took, even Vitterick out of Cincinnati. There's a lot of swing and miss there. There's not, they didn't, of course, they don't get to until they get to their pick 40. So they don't get the guy that has everything, every single tool, because they don't get the first pick overall like the Ethan Holiday. But I thought it was interesting that they went toolsy.
Right. Yeah, that's that's interesting that they did that. I noticed a couple other trends. The Dodgers, in the past, it seemed like they used to take a lot of high school players, and it was a lot more. They're getting to where they're taking a lot more college guys, and they focused a lot on pitching because I believe it's 14 out of 21 selections were pitchers. I think that's maybe a little bit heavier than they generally go in terms of leaning more towards pitchers.
I think all their pitchers were college, weren't they?
Oh yeah, but I'm just overall 14 out of 21. There were only 7 position players taken, I believe. So, they seem to go pretty heavy on pitching side this year. And as you mentioned, a lot of them are tall guys. They took some shots on guys who were coming off injuries. So see how it goes. You never know. I mean, such a small percentage of these guys ever get to the Dodgers. And I was looking at their track record over the last few years. Hasn't been good with the guys that they picked high, as far as them making up to the major league. So,
oh really? Who have they been? You remember?
A lot of the guys that they've picked. I noticed first, second round have not made it too far. Even like Bobby Miller, he was a high round draft pick, but he did actually obviously make it to the major leagues. But
Dalton Rushing, I know he was the Dodgers' first pick a couple years ago.
Right,
he made it.
Right, yeah.
Do you remember who the guys were that didn't make it? Do you remember names?
Well, I know Maddox Bruns was one of the more recent ones, and he's obviously still in the minor leagues and pitching. I'm trying to think. I'll have to send you a list of them. That we can talk about on the next podcast. But yeah, it was surprising when you looked at all of them. I remember they drafted Mattingly's son really high.
Yeah.
And it was a first round or second round. They drafted him really high, but he didn't go very far. So he was one that just comes to mind.
Another thing, and when you dive into that you realize is that the top 30 prospects list are wildly inaccurate. You'll once you start really diving into prospect coverage, and you actually follow these guys. I know you mentioned it the other day, like you've started doing. You start going, well, dang man. I mean, like about 23% of these guys are actually hitting. Whenever you look at the non-top 30 prospects list, you have way more guys that weren't top 30 prospects that are hitting than the ones that weren't. And that's because you have these guys that they're going for the buck. They want the dollar. And so to get the dollar, you got to talk about the sexy names. And that doesn't necessarily equate to anything success-wise on the field. But we have a question here. What are your, don't let me put thoughts into your mind though, but what's your thoughts on top 30 prospects list?
I think it is pretty inaccurate at times. I mean, they're obviously all very talented, and most of them have had success in the minor leagues. But I was just thinking of like guys like Kasparius and Dreyer. They were in the top 30, but they were kind of in the lower end of the top 30. And
but Jack Dreyer was an undrafted free agent. He only made the top 30 because like of what he did like his first 2 years in pro ball.
Right. So I was pulling up a list of guys that they drafted in the past in the first round. Will Smith was a first round pick in 2016. Gavin Lux was on there, but Kyle Funkhauser, Grant Holmes, Chris Anderson, Chris Reed, Zach Lee, Ethan Martin, Chris Withrow got a little taste of the major leagues, Avery Morris. But it's pretty hit or miss,
Kenny George.
Yeah. Sears is one of the more successful ones.
Yeah, this is Jason Cabrera. We have a question about him. This is a young man who recently has had a couple of outings that I think he went like He gave up like 4 runs in like 2/3 of an inning, and the outing before that he gave up 2 runs. But beyond that, Jason Cabrera has been one of the best relievers in all the minor leagues. His fastball has touched 100 miles an hour this year. And this dude, I mean, he's like a bull coming out of a pen blowing snot, man. I mean, he's coming right at dudes, and he has no fear. So we have a question from Showtime. Could Jason Cabrera be an option for the pen? He's been great in Tulsa this year. I would say that there is at less than a 1% chance that happens. I think the guy that just got called up, Ronan Kopp, would be, I know they're righty-lefty, but Ronan Kopp and Jason Cabrera pitched on the same bullpen staff in Tulsa all year until like the last week. I think Kopp would have precedent over him. I think Julian Fernandez would have precedent over him. I think Jack Little will have precedent over him. I think Alexis Diaz would have precedent over him. And so I think there's a lot of guys that would have, not that Jason Cabrera couldn't go up and do a good job. I just think there's a lot of guys that have precedent over him at the moment.
I would agree with that. I think he's more of a guy who they may look at next year, maybe. But like as you mentioned, the guys that you mentioned probably would have more likely. Ronan Kopp has really been looking amazing.
Yeah,
I could, if they do call somebody up that has never pitched in the majors before, I think he would be an option.
I'll tell you another guy, man. Don't sleep on this guy. I'm just telling you. I interviewed him. I'm going to release his interview tomorrow, and I just enjoyed talking to him so much. Do not sleep on this guy. I think another guy that has precedent over somebody that would be in Double-A at this moment, and that is one Mr. Zach Penrod. I'm telling you, this dude is good, and he has a great story. I mean, he grew up at Nampa, Idaho, which is a Boise suburb. He went Division III he went to Western Oregon, NAIA out of high school at Western Oregon, came back home and went to Northern Nazarene, which is Division III. So he obviously didn't get drafted. He ended up toiling around in independent ball. He pitched in independent ball for 3 years. Finally got a contract with Boston, made his major league debut last year. I have seen Zach Penrod with my own eyes. I'm telling you, man, don't sleep on this guy. This guy's good. Zach Penrod's good.
Yeah, interesting. He's a guy that I hadn't heard much about or knew much about. So I'll have to take a deeper dive into him and follow him more closely.
Yeah, just watch the interview tomorrow. We cover quite a bit of ground, and a lot of he has that two seam that fades away. And really is about 94, 95, so good velo. He has a good pitch mix. And then I'll tell you another guy that I think has precedent that has been pitching just lights out all year, and that is I need to move this thing out of the way. I can't get it to move. That is my TikTok live deal here. I don't know why. There we go. Okay, and that is Julian Fernandez. This dude right here is smoking hot, man. I'm telling you, I know he didn't have a good outing in L.A., but he is consistently hitting 100. He's a guy that has ramped up his velo. He was only like 92, 94 in spring training, but I got this video the other night. This dude's impressive. I really like Julian Fernandez.
Yeah, he's definitely an interesting prospect, and I don't know if he's somebody they would consider calling up this year, but he looks like he could have a really bright future.
Yeah.
Yeah, and another guy, speaking of high leverage relievers who might come up, who could be high leverage relievers, Edgardo Henriquez, almost ready too. So he may be as good or better than any guy they could acquire.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, who would be better than Blake Trinan that you can go out and acquire, and who's going to be more talented than Edgardo Henriquez, right?
Yeah.
I mean, so who is going to be more talented than Dustin May if he moves to the bullpen?
Yeah.
So that's kind of where I'm at with. That's why and plus, I think you only have a certain amount of bullets. So for every bullet you use to go get a bullpen arm, that's one bullet you don't have to go get an outfielder or a third baseman. I mean,
exactly.
As many resources the Dodgers have, it's not unlimited.
Yeah, and then you have to give up talented prospects to get someone like that, and there's always a chance that those guys will become stars or something, in a later time. So it's a risky move too.
It absolutely is. So there are some of the guys that may be imminent as far as the bullpen goes. As far as third base goes, let's get into Alex Freeland. Alex Freeland has been playing a lot of third base lately. I know we've covered him a lot this year, but we're going to do it again because I think he's a guy that you might be seeing before too long. Okay, this is him basically. That arm right there, plenty good enough. I've seen him make really nice plays at third base. So Alex Freeland, a nice left-handed stroke, a good right-handed stroke, switch hitter. This is a guy that maybe the Dodgers could use to fill third base if Max Muncy is not going to be available this year. And the easy way to do that would be to put Max Muncy on the 60-day. Then you could put Alex Freeland, you could put him on that roster spot that you would gain with the 60-day IL for Max Muncy. And here's the deal with Alex Freeland. I say this every time, probably wearing Dodgers fans out with it, but he is going to be put on the 40-man roster in the offseason anyways because he is Rule 5 eligible. So that's going to happen in the offseason, so why not do it now anyways?
I agree. And he obviously has been primarily a shortstop and was well regarded defensively there. Also a very good hitter, of course. But so usually if a guy can play shortstop well, he can adjust to playing third and become a good third baseman. And I could definitely see them calling him up before long. Here's
some defense from third base. Tell me what you think about that right there, Mark. Look at that arm. Not bad. Well, that's not a great throw, but that's not what you're worried about necessarily. So there's the throw from behind the bag. Now here's coming in. Look how easy he makes that look. He's a great athlete.
He looked really good there, right?
Yeah.
So I think I'm sure he can definitely play third base. It's just a matter of getting the repetitions, I think, and making sure that he's consistent. You mentioned he made an error the other day, so just getting all the footwork's a little different, obviously, and so. Just a matter of him adjusting, and I think that's what they're trying to do now is getting him comfortable over there before they call him up.
And he hasn't been hitting the ball that well lately, so that's another deal. And he has some swing and miss in his game. So it would be interesting, like just knowing the way the Dodgers work, it would be a miracle if knowing that we're coming down the stretch, this is the permanent solution they're going with, and knowing the expectations is win a World Series or bust. It would be an absolute miracle if the Dodgers actually went the rookie route with a guy who's never been in the major leagues to solve a permanent solution going down the stretch and into the playoffs. That would be totally out of character for the Dodgers.
That's true. And obviously it's going to depend on who's available and at what cost, as far as a trade that could possibly happen. People have been talking about Nolan Arenado for forever. It seems like, we need to get Nolan Arenado, and I think he's making a just obscene amount of money for the level of play that he's at right now. And I never saw that happening, and I still don't see it happening as far as them possibly acquiring him. But Ryan McMahon could be an option. But you have to think about long-term too. If they acquire somebody like, say, Ryan McMahon, then next year, what do they do far as what do they do with Muncy next year?
And you got a whole slew of pitchers coming back next year too. Kyle Hurt, Gavin Stone, River Ryan. I mean, so what do you do if you go get a bullpen, your bullpen arm or whoever it may be, and he has a 2 or 3 year contract? What do you do?
Exactly. The Dodgers have, such amazing depth in their system. We've talked about some of the young guys that they have down there right now, and they're gonna have to make some tough decisions over the next couple of years on these guys.
They absolutely are. So what are your thoughts on teams tanking so they can have, like Cole has a comment here, that Baltimore had 4 or 5 picks before the Dodgers ever had 1. So that's because the Dodgers went over the competitive balance tax in a certain threshold that they lost draft picks and they got all the way down to whatever it was, 40 or 41 before they picked first. So what are your thoughts on the Dodgers having to wait for, other teams having 4 or 5 picks before they do because the Dodgers spent so much money, but yet the other teams are getting rewarded for not spending any money at all? What are your thoughts on that?
I think the actual idea of tanking is kind of doesn't happen nearly as much as fans might think. I mean, players are never going to purposely play badly and try to, so their organization can be in a better position. I know that in the NFL a lot, they accuse people of doing that, but I can never see the players doing that. Maybe the management may make decisions that will lead to the team, losing more games possibly, but I don't see it being a big thing in baseball. I haven't really followed, like, for instance, the Baltimore Orioles to see if they're making decisions that will lead to less victories for them. But it's probably happens a lot less than we might imagine.
I can tell you a rebuild process is ugly. And so how the haves view a rebuild process is probably not an accurate description of what actually a rebuild process does. So a team that doesn't have the resources that the Dodgers have, the only way they can compete, like a Kansas City every now and then, that we see Kansas City compete, then they fall off the map. The Marlins were that way. They won the World Series and they fell off the map 20 years ago. And that's because you can't, once your players become free agents and you have to bid for them, then you can't compete money-wise. And so that's coming. And so the worst case scenario for a Baltimore Orioles, or not necessarily them, but like a Miami Marlins or a Kansas City Royals, is to have 2 or 3, maybe 4 guys that they can't really afford on the roster, and they're still losing because at that point they can't even afford to rebuild. And so those organizations have to do one or the other. They either have to hit the window they're in with the Sal Perez and guys like that they had 10 years ago and make their run for a World Series and go for broke, or they have to say, hey, we can't win the World Series. We don't have enough pieces. We have to sell all them off, and we have to start from scratch. So that process is one until you've been a have-not, which Oklahoma State always has been a have-not. In the college, they're not like in poverty or anything, but compared to OU and Texas and all these schools, Texas A&M, OSU easily is a have-not. So until you've been in those shoes, it's hard to really criticize what an actual rebuild actually is. My opinion.
True, and I think about the Miami Marlins. They won 2 World Series, and basically they after they would win a World Series, they'd trade all their talented players away and do a whole rebuild, and then they won another World Series and they trade them all away again. So they're kind of in that stage right now where they have some young talent. But what's wrong with
that? That's the only chance they have. I mean that's actually Miami. Go ahead.
Right.
I'm sorry.
I don't disagree with it. I mean, because if you win, it's all about winning World Series.
Yeah.
So if you can win one every 5 years or something using that method, it's not a bad way to go, I don't think. And you get obviously once you win one and they trade away your top players, you get a bunch of talented young players. To me, that's fun to watch. A lot of talented young players coming up. So yeah.
So if you're doing it in the sake of trying to win a World Series because it's the only way you view it as being your chance to win a World Series, then I don't see what the problem with that is, because that organization is doing what they have to do, the same way the Dodgers are, what they have to do to put themselves in a chance to win a World Series. They're not trying to milk their fans and try to have a terrible, because if you have a terrible team, you can't charge $100 a ticket. You can't charge $25 a beer like the Dodgers can. The only way that a team like that can really be financially at the top of their peak is if they do have a chance to win a World Series every now and then. So they're doing that actually because it's their only chance, and it's their only strategy to win a World Series, which is what everybody wants, is everybody to try to make moves to be as competitive as possible. At least that's the way I see it.
That's true, and I see in baseball and in football where teams, they'll kind of just be okay with being mediocre, barely like maybe a fringe playoff contender, rather than blowing it all up and just trying to. I think the Angels, honestly, thinking about that, the Angels should have traded away Trout and Ohtani a couple years ago when they knew there was no chance that they
should have got Pages when they almost did.
Yeah, they could have had Andy Pages. And I think Tony Gonsolin would have been part of that deal also when the Dodgers and Angels were talking about making a trade, which obviously he's injured right now. But they could have got a load of talent for Trout and Ohtani, and they could be in a really good spot right now. But I also think about there are teams out there who aren't spending money. They're making good profits, I think, but they're not spending money. And I think people talk about there being a salary cap, and I don't think that'll ever happen in baseball because the union would not want that to happen. But there could be a salary floor where teams actually have to spend a certain amount of money, because you get some teams they're getting this big pool of money and they're not spending it on their players. They're just making profits. So I think that's a problem in baseball right now too.
The salary floor is a great idea. I like that. I like that. And I personally like the salary cap. I just think the more competitive you make every team, what makes the NFL work is that the Buffalo Bills are better than the Giants and the Jets every single year, it seems like.
Right.
And so the small guy can be, the Kansas City Chiefs are a superpower now. The Kansas City Royals struggle they have a one window every 10 years. That's because the systems in the NFL are meant to create parity. The systems in the Major League Baseball are meant to create dynasties like the Dodgers. And so I think you need both a salary floor and a salary cap. Personally, I think it needs to be more of the NFL model and make everybody competitive. I'll tell you this. Nobody wants to watch the Colorado Rockies. Okay, I think they're victim number. They made no moves in the offseason. They sucked last year. So if you're a Colorado Rockies fan, why would you even watch? I mean, like when the Dodgers play the Rockies, I struggle even to watch those games because the Rockies just suck so bad and they're doing nothing about it. So I think those are the scenarios that got to get fixed. And I think they would get fixed if you if the Rockies management really felt like with 2 or 3 moves, they would have a chance to beat the Dodgers, I think they would have done it. But I think it's like whenever you get so far into debt, it's like you can't see the way out. And I think the Rockies are like, we're so far away from the Dodgers, why would we go spend money so we can still be that far away from the Dodgers? That's the problem.
Yeah, I agree. And I wouldn't be opposed to a salary cap. I just don't think it's going to happen because the union obviously wants to get their players as much money as they can. And there's so much money in the game. But yeah, I don't see it happening anytime in the near future. And I think a lot of people complain about how much the Dodgers spend, but even if there was a salary cap, the Dodgers would be, still winning a lot of, I think they'd be in a similar position to where they are now, because obviously it's a very attractive place to play. And the Dodgers, even if they have a salary cap as far as players, they're still going to spend a lot of money on their organization, improving their organization. And they're very smart about how they go about things. So they would pay top money for, guys in their GM and, those kind of things. They're willing to spend more than other organizations in those areas.
Okay, I looked for video. You sent me some wonderful notes, and I looked for video, and I could not find any video. I'll have to hit up Manny Pimentel, and if you get me a composite list of the guys that you think you're going to cover, Mark, I could probably get with Manny Pimentel and get some video on these guys. So whenever we cover the DSL, we will actually have some video to play. So I apologize, I will not have video, but we are going to dive into some of the DSL guys, which I'm super excited because I know nothing about the DSL or even the complex. I mean, I know a little bit as far as what I hear from some of the scouts and stuff that I talk to, but in terms of following them every day, I don't do it. Mark does. And so I know the first guy I wanted to dive into is Edwin Sanchez.
Yes. And to your point, I look for video on these guys too, and it's very difficult to find much information at all on them. But they're the furthest away from the major leagues out of all players, but still there's some intriguing talent down there that the Dodgers have. And as far as hitters go, Edwin Sanchez is a guy who's kind of been at the top of the board there. He's 6'3", 180, so he has some room to really fill out as he gets older, because he's still only 20 years old, although it's his 4th year in the Dominican Summer League. And this year he has an on-base percentage of .517, which is really impressive for any league, and an OPS of 1.038. So he's hit 4 home runs and 7 doubles and 78 at-bats. So he seems to be getting progressively better. He's played all the outfield positions, but mostly right field. He's also played first base, but yeah, he looks like he's making really good progress. So, you may see him in the ACL next year and then possibly the Quakes the year after that.
Yeah.
But, I'll try to find more information on him, too, as time goes on.
So just keep plowing through the guys you want to talk about. I'm interacting with the chat right now, and I'll keep doing that while you go over these guys.
All right. Yeah, I'll mention a few guys on the pitching side. Luis Gamez, he's 18 years old. And he's had a really impressive ERA of 1.06. It's only 17 innings, but he's averaging about a strikeout an inning, 16 strikeouts in 17 innings. So he looks like he could be an interesting prospect for him. Westlin de los Santos is 19 years old. His ERA is 2.03 in 13 innings. He has 16 strikeouts. So he's pitching well down there. And then Oliver Gonzalez, interestingly, I found a little tidbit on him. He was included in the trade that brought Tommy Edman over. Yeah. So the Dodgers have been very good about finding these guys like Mike Sirota, for instance, on the lower levels and developing them. And Oliver Gonzalez has an ERA of 2.45. and a whip of .95. He has 27 strikeouts in 22 innings. He's an 18-year-old right-hander. So those are the few of the guys that are pitching well down in the Dominican Summer League, who, as I mentioned, you may see some of these guys in ACL next year and then possibly up with the Quakes before long.
Yeah. Yeah. So anybody else you wanted to cover there?
Those are the only ones for now, but I'll come up with some other ones in later podcasts.
That is job well done, Mr. Mark Watkins. And by the way, hey, tell us about, I know you went to Rancho twice last week.
Yes.
The second time, no BP, so no interviews. You got to see certain guys and this and that. But tell us about your trips to Rancho before we get out of here.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Blake Snell was rehabbing there, so I did get a chance to do a little brief interview with him at the end of the game. And he looked really good. So, obviously it's the Quakes and it's his first rehab outing. But he looked really strong. His curveball was looking really good. And he would have had 2 clean innings, except that there was a controversial play at first base where the runner was called.
Who are we talking
safe.
about? I'm sorry.
With Blake Snell.
Snell, yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Let me get this on the board.
2 clean innings, but they had a controversial play at first base that didn't go the Quakes' way. So, which he was not happy about, you could tell. But yeah, he looked really good. So that was exciting to see. And then went the following day and got to see them play again and see them take batting practice and all that. And it was a really good experience. I'm anxious to go back again.
How'd the SD card work? Did it work out transferring? Was that a lot easier than trying to plug your phone into your computer?
Yes, okay, much easier.
Nice. So. You're ready to punt that son of a bitch into the nearest pond whenever you're. I tried. I like mine won't. My camera won't even recognize anymore if I plug it straight in. I have a card reader, and I plug that. I take the SD card out and put the card reader in it, and it simplifies things so much. So who do you think you're wanting to interview next there at Rancho?
Well, I still would like to get an interview with Eduardo Quintero, of course,
yes.
And Jaron Elkins, if I can get those guys on. Christian Sasueta. I know there's a kind of a language barrier with some of those guys. There's a lot of Venezuelan players in particular on the Quakes roster, and it's a fun, like, lively group. They have a lot of fun in the dugout when you're down there. A lot of energy going on, and they do. Really good chemistry with the team.
I think that's another reason why the Dodgers are going more college route nowadays, is because they have so many of those international players, Venezuela, Mexico, the DR, you name it. And all those guys are like 20 and 21 years old. I mean, some of them are like 22, 23, but most of them are 20, 21 years old, maximum 20, 20 or 22. So you don't really need to dip into the high school market in America, because you already have a bunch of really talented young guys in your international players. So I think that's an aspect of it too.
That's a good point. Yeah, good point. Yeah, that definitely could be a factor. I also want to give a shout out to Cody Morse, because he came up to me and introduced himself. Yeah. And he's a really nice young man. He said his dad watches our podcast sometimes. So,
oh, really?
Yeah, and I'm hoping to interview Cody at some point in the not too distant future. He's one of the guys that I would definitely want to interview as well.
Cody Morse, 6'7". I love this guy, out of Weatherford Junior College. I know all about that Weatherford JC program. Oklahoma State's plucked several players from that JUCO. That is just an awesome, right there outside of Fort Worth, just an awesome JUCO. And then Cody was going to come to OU, and so he was kind of a guy that we were hoping at OSU that he might have some interest here, this and that. But he was going to go to OU and pitch for Skip Johnson. Skip Johnson was the pitching coach at Texas forever. And so Skip Johnson, if he wants you to come and pitch, that's what I was saying about Dylan Tate as far as the draft pick this year. If Skip Johnson wants you at OU, then that tells me all I need to know, because Skip Johnson knows what a really good pitcher looks like.
Yeah, that's interesting. You have all that background on that JC. It's good to know.
Yeah. So all Dodgers, hey, there's Clint Pacias right there. What this team needs to try is Bobby Miller in the bullpen. What are your thoughts about Bobby Miller in the bullpen? Let me get him up on the board here and get my video from his last outing. This is video from Bobby Miller's last outing. I released our interview this week, and so matter of fact, I will link that in our chat here. Your thoughts on Bobby Miller?
I could see that possibly happening, because obviously he has had some ongoing struggles as a starter, and if he were to come in, just like you mentioned with Dustin May earlier, possibly transitioning over to the bullpen. But if those guys can come in and just do max effort for an inning or two, that could really possibly turn their careers around too. I could definitely see that happening.
So in the interview, Bobby, actually, I asked him the question that, what are your thoughts about, because the other day he actually came in. It's technically a relief role, but him and Emmett Sheehan basically were two starters in the same day. The Dodgers like to do that. They like to throw two starters in the same day. They call it a piggyback. So Emmett Sheehan threw 4, Bobby Miller threw 4. So yes, it was technically a relief role, but the intent wasn't for him to be a relief pitcher that day. His intent was to give him starter type bulk innings. And so I asked him that question, and he was like, I don't care. I mean, if it's a 1 inning role or whatever, I'm good. I just want to help the team in any way. Of course, that's what they all say, but I think it'd be interesting because Bobby Miller is a very regimented guy. He's a guy that likes his pregame. And I thought it was really interesting too that he mentioned that one of the issues with him was just having confidence going into games. I worry about in the bullpen, he's going to sit out there, he's going to stew, he's going to think, he's going to overthink. I just worry about the mentality of Bobby Miller in terms of the confidence level coming out of the pen.
Yeah, the bullpen, obviously pitching out of the bullpen is not for everyone. And there is the psychological aspect that you mentioned. So you just never know how he's going to react to it until you actually put him in that position. And the Dodgers obviously know him better than any of us. So I would imagine that they'll make the right move when it comes down to it.
Yeah. Another thing about Bobby Miller that I would hesitate bullpen-wise, and hey, if the Dodgers do it, I'm all for it. Whatever they can do to make Bobby Miller the most productive player he can be in Los Angeles is one of the questions I asked him is he kind of has a football mentality. He likes to get all riled up, and he kind of likes to ride the waves, which is the worst thing you can do in baseball because you're going to just have every pitch you're going to be riding the ebb and flow of success and failure. And if you concentrate and focus too much on success, failure, like we do as fans, as a player, you're going to paralyze yourself. I mean, because it's such a game of failure. So I just worry about that football mentality that he has just going on steroids if he's coming in the 8th inning.
Yeah, that could definitely be a factor because baseball obviously is such a long grind in the season. And from a mental standpoint, if you get like too excited all the time, I could see where it would really, play with your mind, so to speak. I think about Kirk Gibson. He had that football mentality, which worked for him as a position player. But as a pitcher, that could be a completely different story.
When will we see River Ryan or Kyle Hurt back in L.A.? Let's get the Kyle Hurt video up on the board. We might get some River Ryan stuff. And I think, okay, I'll tell you this, and I actually have communicated with Kyle, and Kyle is throwing now, and he's going to be mid-August, whenever he's going to be eligible to start pitching in games again. And so that timeline to me, I mean, he has, a couple of innings of Major League experience. Now, if this was Blake Trinan, I would say third week in August. Second week in August, he's rehabbing in Oklahoma City. Third week in August, you're going to rush him up to L.A., and he's going to be pitching in L.A. If this was Blake Trinan, somebody with a vast amount of Major League experience.
Right.
But with the lack of experience of Kyle Hurt, I think he's going to be available to pitch coming about the third, fourth week in August. I just don't see the Dodgers doing that because he doesn't have enough experience, and they're going to have enough relief pitching by that point. So my best guess for Kyle Hurt in L.A. would be next year, and the same thing goes for River Ryan, and that is simply because I just think the Dodgers, with all of the injuries they've had, I think they're going to have enough to cover the remainder of this year. They are not going to go through all of this work with River Ryan and then rush him back and do anything on a sped-up timeline. So my best guess, and I have zero inside information on this, I never will because I don't ever ask about injuries. It's just too intrusive. My best guess for both of those is next year.
I would agree. They have so many options and such depth down there. And then they have guys like Wrobleski and, Sheehan and guys like that who are going to be bumped down to maybe bullpen spots once, Snell comes back. Guys like Snell come back. So I'd be really shocked to see Ryan or Hurt come up this year. Trinan is coming back. Edgardo Henriquez is probably going to be an option before too long. So, yeah, both of those guys I think we're looking at next year.
Gavin Stone as well. So you have a lot of that's another factor the Dodgers will put into the trade deadline is we don't want to go out. If you go get a guy and like he's a free agent after this year, okay, fine, because you're going to have so many guys you're going to have to put on the roster next year. Justin Wrobleski, you have guys like Ronan Kopp that are going to need to make their Major League debut next year. If Jared Karros gets back on top of his game, he's going to make a run for the Major League roster. What are you going to do with Jackson Ferris? I mean, I know Jackson Ferris hasn't been great this year, but his last outing was good. I mean, are you just going to make him stay in AA or AAA for 2 to 3 years? I mean, so there are so many guys coming up that are going to need roster spots. That's a consideration at the trade deadline. If you go get a pitcher that you're going to have team control over for the next 3 years, you are really decreasing. I mean, you're creating a big log jam, and there is a big opportunity cost to any pitcher that you get that the Dodgers will have past this year. So that guy better be more talented and better than the guys you actually have coming that will not get the opportunities because of that pitcher you go get.
Yes, they have so many options, as we talked about, so many guys in the minor leagues and guys coming back from injuries. Tony Gonsolin's another one.
Yeah, there you go.
Going to be coming back. Gonsolin. I've honestly forgotten about Gavin Stone. I mean, he was. Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. Yeah,
he was pitching so well, for them before he got injured, and so I mean, he's another guy who they're going to be coming back. So they are going to have some tough decisions at some point on these guys.
They are. Hey, Mark, this has been a wonderful conversation. We had some notes, and kind of like we always do, we just kind of went to Canada and back and had a hell of a lot of good time doing it. So I hope the fans enjoyed today's show. So your final thoughts over anything Dodgers related or whatever the hell you want to talk about. This has been a lot of fun.
Yeah, it definitely was a lot of fun. Talking about, like, mentioning Quakes again, I appreciate all the generosity and the welcoming atmosphere there, and I'm looking forward to getting back to there. And hopefully the Dodgers will be well rested coming out of the break, and they can get back on the winning track and get some of these injured guys back. Looking forward to the second half.
Yeah, the Dodgers have 66 games left. Hey, a lot of fun, man. Mark, I cannot tell you how much I appreciate you, all the work that you have done going to the Rancho games, putting all these show notes together for our live shows here. So you are greatly appreciated, Mark. You are an absolute rock star. Thank you so much. I wanted to say that in front of everybody.
Thanks, Casey. It's always fun talking Dodger baseball with you. I enjoy it.
Okay, and I want to thank all of you Dodgers Dogs fans out there. You know that you are the absolute best baseball chat on earth. There is absolutely no doubt about that. Not the biggest, but absolutely the best comments that you will read on any baseball chat anywhere. So one more time, thank you for tuning in. And as always, one last reminder, it is a great day to be a Dodger.